Hello, welcome to Punk Rock Show Off. I'm Brandon Judd. This is another installment in my series of punk with an asterisk, punk albums celebrating anniversaries in the year 2024. We're doing it in 5-year increments. We are up to 1994. That means all these releases are turning 30. This will make you feel old. This makes me feel old because in 1994, I was about 8 or 9 years old. Now, 1994 was a huge year for somebody getting into punk rock like I was. The big words, big elephant in the room, Green Day, Dookie, we're going to get into it. So you'll see a lot of releases here. A lot of them are on Epitaph, and because it's the kind of stuff I like, it's the kind of stuff that I grew up on. And yes, that's when people were first telling me, Green Day isn't punk, and what you listen to isn't punk. This is punk. They would name off those other albums and the videos with the older ones. And hey, guess what? It's all punk to me. I don't care. We can fight in the comments. You can check out those other videos. I'll put some links to them. Check them out. Now, the caveats. It's got to be albums in my collection, so I might miss some. This is not an exhaustive list. Again, tell me in the comments how stupid I am for including or excluding something. It could be that I just missed it. I did a little bit of research on here, so I'm sorry. Now, the other piece of it, punk with an asterisk. Of course, definitions evolve. This genre has a lot. You'll start to see some other things poke their heads in that maybe wouldn't be considered punk even anymore or then, but may have snuck in that way. So let's start it off. I will get my punk credibility right here with Os Rotten, Fuck Nazi Sympathy. Now, I didn't do EPs for everybody. I wanted to throw this one in here because I just really like it a lot. I got this in maybe a batch of 7 inches at the time, maybe around 1997, 1998 from the used record store that I used to frequent in Springfield, Illinois. This is the other political punk band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who hasn't ruined their legacy. Sorry. That band is persona non grata on this channel now, but they would have been included in this, but I'm not going to. Not going to get into that. Anyway, Os Rotten, just straight up punk rock, hardcore punk crust stuff, whatever you like, but it is nice, it is snotty, it is abrasive. I really enjoy this all the way through. Now, kind of a polar opposite of Os Rotten, Bad Religion's major label debut. Now, if you read in their book that they put out a couple years ago, the decision to sign to a major at the time was kind of hard. They went back and forth on it quite a bit. Of course, I mean, you have Brett Gurewitz in the band, the founder of Epitaph Records, and they're talking about, hey, we're going to have somebody else release this album. And it's one of the majors. Quite the controversial stuff for the time. Now, they didn't really change their sound. There's still Bad Religion on this record. Plenty of these, they are live staples. Stranger Than Fiction, of course, is one of them, the title track. I just really love Bad Religion. Millencolin, same old tunes, early stuff from them. You got a really cool one that was on Punkorama 4. That was how I heard about Millencolin at the time. And they were also in a bunch of skate videos that my friends had. Now, I think Millencolin is just really underrated. They don't get talked a lot about anymore, at least for like punk circles that I know of, at least in the US. They may be really big in Europe. I don't know. But I really like this band, and I wish that they would come to the US more because I've never seen them live. Another big one, NoFX, Punk in Drublic. For many, this is people's favorite NoFX album, their biggest, their best, etc., whatever. For me, it's White Trash, Two Heaps, and a Bean. But Punk in Drublic is still a great record. Never gonna go wrong with Linoleum. That song somehow became the quintessential representative song of NoFX, and it's certainly not a bad one to pick. I can't really say any more about it. I've seen them play this album live. Totally worth the cost of admission. Here's one, watch out. It is another 9 Inch Nails album. Look, I put them in the last video, so I decided to put them in this one. Downward Spiral. It's got the hits that you know. This really made them like global superstars, I would say, as far as an industrial metal band can get. But again, a lot of these records I can't say something bad about because I own them, which means I like them. I went to buy them and make them part of my collection. So I'll just say that's a good one. Another huge, huge one from 1994, Offspring's Smash. Again, every song on here I think is great. It's still got the great riffs that I like from Noodles. It's still got some really dark songs. There's some real dark subject matter on Offspring albums, especially these early ones. And oh, Clutch Your Pearls, this is digitally remastered and put onto vinyl. Now it does say from the original master tapes, but I think it's all from digital sources. It's got all the big hits here. They still play, if I see them live, they play like half this album live. Still a staple, still a favorite of fans, still a good spin. You can listen to it now, it still sounds pretty fresh. Now, I did mention Green Day, but also Billy Joe's side band was very busy during these times. Here's a two-shot, Pinhead, Gunpowder, Carry the Banner, and Jump Salty. Jason White's in this band too. Of course, you know him as one of the live guitarists that you'll see with Green Day, even to the present day. Pinhead, Gunpowder, great band. It is songwriting. They have more complex structures than Green Day songs. They do make it a habit of ripping off other riffs from popular songs. You'll notice that in some of these, like Losers of the Year, you'll hear Cheap Trick Surrender in it. But these songs are really fun. I do love Billie Joe Armstrong as a songwriter, so I love these too. Ramones, Acid Eaters. This is the album of songs that they felt they were influenced by or just really enjoyed. It's mostly 60s, 70s stuff. Pop songs. They're definitely well-known songs by the original people. There's stuff from Amboy Dukes and The Who and the Rolling Stones and Jefferson Airplane and even some Bob Dylan and Beach Boys, Surf City. There's plenty of stuff on here. This is nice. I do like the recording of it. Of course, I mean, there's no Ramones songs on here, but it's nice to hear that sort of Ramones style with a lot of these songs. This is getting closer to a couple years before their last show. So this is kind of one of the sort of sunsetting moments of the Ramones output. Still a very enjoyable listen. Now, the last video had Operation Ivy. Now we finally can get into Rancid. Let's go. Now, I got into Rancid around And Out Come the Wolves. That would come a little later than this one, just after this one. But Let's Go is still an excellent record. This has the full lineup that you know with Tim Armstrong, Lars Frederiksen, and Matt Freeman. These guys, still people I follow to this day and still see. They make me feel old when I think about these things, much like a lot of the records here. But this is also good. Plenty of this early Epitaph stuff. This is an essential Rancid record. Another two-shot. These are some EPs from Refused. Now, these records, these recordings, they are dear to my heart. They do kind of live far away from what the Refused sound would become and what they would be known for. But these earlier hardcore songs I really like. It just sounds rougher. There's a lot of passion in these. Dennis Lyxzén is a great songwriter. I think he's a great frontman and vocalist. Those Swedes, they're killing it. And getting into another one, Punk with an Asterisk will say, look, if you were in 1994, you heard this song, and you probably listened to this album right along with Green Day, and you were like, oh, maybe Weezer's kind of a punk band, who knows? This is the Blue Mo-Fi one. It's nice, sounds good. I don't know what to say about it, really. Again, all the records that I have here are records that I bought, so I love most of them. So, of course, all of these sort of defining songs of Weezer, Buddy Holly, Undone, Surf Wax America, Say It Ain't So. Every song in here is a great sing-along. Every song wows live. I got to see Weezer on the Memories Tour. I think that was 2011. They played 2 sets each night. Each set was, the opening sets were singles in chronological order, reverse chronological order, and then the second set was an album. First night they played the Blue Album. Second night they played Pinkerton. And they played a bunch of the B-sides, but we'll get to that some other time, whenever that celebrates a milestone again, which will be coming soon because time is ever moving. Last but not least, of course, Green Day's Dookie. Now, let me talk a little bit about this one. So I'm 8 or 9 years old, and MTV is still a thing. MTV is killing it, putting out music videos. That's where I would have found out about Green Day. Now, I do remember my brother having Kerplunk, my older brother, We're a generation separated. He's 7 years older. So he was onto this stuff sooner than I was, but he's a fish head now, so he didn't stick with it. But I heard this stuff as a kid and thought, whatever is included in here is what I want to be. And this record is the reason that this channel exists and the reason that I found a lot of the other records that I've talked about on here. Without Green Day, I would have never found the Ramones. I would have never found punk rock at all. I don't care, 1994, they say punk revival. And at the time, I know there was older kids when I was getting into punk rock who were like, this isn't punk. This is just bubblegum pop, whatever. They're just taking the name punk and they're just doing whatever they want with it. I don't care. This album is amazing. It means a lot to me. I had the tape. I listened to it over and over and over again for years. This means so much to me. I am very excited for the tour this summer, for the Saviors tour. I am spinning the new Saviors album. Pretty good stuff. I could say more about it. I do have some critiques of it that aren't so positive, but I think it's a good move in the right direction. But it is far away from Dookie, but I will say it's good. Now, this album still holds up. I can listen to this. It feels fresh. It takes me back. There's a lot of nostalgia in it for sure. I can't believe that this came out 30 years ago because I can remember listening to it. I can remember seeing Green Day on TV. I can remember seeing Green Day play Woodstock. I can remember all that stuff. But yes, I'm excited for the tour this summer where they're going to play it all the way through. That's an incredible move on their part. I think it's a good move. I think it's time to celebrate Green Day's legacy. They have done so much for punk rock, whether you like it or not. That does it for this edition of Punk Rock Show Off, going over some milestone anniversaries for punk albums released in 1994. All of them were turning 30. Of course, 1994 was a huge year for punk rock. Huge year for me when I was a kid, for sure. So you can check out those other videos. There'll be links to them. You can argue with me in the comments about what punk is, what punk isn't, what bands should be on the list that I missed, what bands shouldn't be on the list. I can take it. Just hop in the comments and let me know. So until the next video, au revoir.